Anyway.
There, it just tried to send it back to us.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing we shouldn't do. Hello, everyone. Please let me know if I'm coming through okay, if you can hear me. If everything's fine. We always kind of struggle with audio. Today was actually pretty smooth, which is a little concerning, so hopefully it's fine and I'm not just talking to myself. Okay, cool. So this will be the third time I've streamed this game. We're about 4 hours in, and I'm just gonna get right into it. So something that's really interesting about these recaps is that I think they were written before the script or written at the same time as the script, so there are actually some plot details that don't quite make it into the dialogue or like aren't quite clearly communicated in the actual text of the game, but they are clearly communicated in the chapter summaries. So on the one hand, you know, that's a bit of a, it's clearly there's a problem communicating when it came from the scripting phase after the drafting phase, but on the other hand, it shows how good the recaps are, that they do in fact clarify things a lot.
Let me help.
Here we have another battle with only one party member, which is not what the game excels at. Also, that dodge was really weird. I wonder what happened with that. Oh yeah, I'm gonna switch to Sentinel because that will give me a defense bonus. This is... Wait, no, I don't want to do that. Shit. Extremely don't want to provoke people into attacking. Okay, just used up a bunch of potions on a losing fight. I'm not a fan of those dramatically. They're really difficult to do well. So here's when the mechanical design of this game goes from good to really good. Okay, so what's the gimmick here? Okay, so it actually wants a chain bonus. Yeah, so these fights are, they're puzzles. These are how you get the summons. They correspond to every character, so every character has their own. I guess, despite what it said, what I actually want to do is build chain, maybe? Guess that's doing something. It's building the meter. It's an interesting idea. I think it's telling that they don't revisit this in any of the later games. I don't think I'm doing it right. Yields to those who amass chain bonuses cannot be provoked. Normal vulnerabilities, yeah, I don't... Like, I'm building that meter, but I don't think I'm building it fast enough. You'll note that part of the puzzle here isn't, like, losing isn't a possibility because the other sister is healing me. Yeah, I'm just not building that chain at all. Maybe... Because commando abilities cause the chain to slow down. Okay. Yeah, this is what I should have been doing. Might have to try this again. Okay, now they've slowed it down. Let's switch. Nope.
No! Sarah!
Yeah, let me poke at this again. Sure, I will definitely upgrade my Crystarium. Not that there's really much. Not that there's really much I can do at this level. Alright, let's try it again. I guess I'm just gonna let these jerks mark me, cause... This is the problem, like, cinematically losing is only interesting once, but the first time before you know it, you're just panicking and possibly losing a lot of stuff that you'll need, and afterwards, you do this. When you hit retry, it lets you, it opens the menu to let you, change, either level up or change your paradigms, so that you're not, like, stuck with some, like, broken paradigms or whatever. Which feels like a really generous option, and I think that's good, because it would be possible to, like, screw yourself over in some parts. Use Libra again will give me the other bit of information. Okay. So it wants chain bonuses, but it also just wants me to get hit in my face. Okay. Maybe? And can't be provoked. Okay. Ah.
Come on in.
Just the big one. Okay, so I'm gonna hold on to this until she starts doing the ATB charge, then I'm gonna do it. Okay. Got it. Just a totally normal lesbian motorcycle. I gotta say, given that, like, Shiva, at the risk of being too personally revealing, when I first saw her in Final Fantasy VIII, I learned some things about myself, so, like, seeing that their sexy technology has just gone, like, more high level over time is just, like, incredible. It's just a really genius design.
Sisters. I gotta hand it to you for taking them down, but don't gloat just yet. Might come a time you wish you'd let them end it, and made things easy.
More of you, huh?
He's a fal'Cie. Take him.
Back off.
You want to keep breathing? Shut up and come quiet.
Bring her this way! Careful now! Come on! Sarah! Sarah! Shut it!
Stand down.
You two? Why are you helping them?
If I were you, I'd worry about myself.
So the funny thing is, having played the series backwards, my introduction to Snow was in Lightning Returns, where he's going through his he's very sad, very
We got one of them.
not goth, just like sad in the gothic romance sort of way.
Stop that!
So
I said stop! You wanna die?
seeing where he originally came from was pretty funny.
You got me, kid.
Then let me.
No, thank you.
Oh, it's definitely sad in a hot way. Also hot in a kind of sad way.
They're still on us? We're taking hits. Come on, give me a break. Hang on. For the love of all that's good. Huh? Oh.
Next, an update on the status of the Purge. Just moments ago, the Sanctum announced the successful conclusion of the Purge, along with the safe arrival of the cocoon migrants to their new homes on Pulse.
Yes, that is correct. There's no denying the enormity of the strain the Purge placed on us all. But given the tens of millions of lives at stake, there truly was no alternative.
Primarch Daisley stood by the move, stressing the necessity of the relocation. When asked about the possibility of
And
future
that's a
purchase,
really
Primarch
good dramatic
remained
evil
non-committal,
Pope
stating
outfit.
only that he would seek counsel with the fal'Cie
Sorry, not to spoil anything for you.
before making a decision.
Yeah, that's right. If it makes the Sanctum look bad, it never even happened.
In all the centuries since the War of Transgression, Cocoon has been spared pulse aggression and prospered for it. It is essential that we maintain this peace. That is the Sanctum's focus. We will continue employing every resource available to combat these threats to the harmony of our society.
Meaning, we'll be running for the rest of our lives.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
who is this guy?
I mean, what do they teach kids these days? He's Gallant Daisley, the Sanctum Primarch. Murderer-in-Chief.
According to our Insta
Just
poll,
another
nearly
tool
90%
of the
of
fal'Cie.
Cocoon citizens agree with the Sanctum's handling of the purge. 70% of respondents said they would also support additional purges were the need to arise.
Let's purge everybody. That'll fix it. Oh, hey. Points for perseverance. A Sanctum fal'Cie up close and personal. Cocoon's own light in the sky. Here we go again.
Fly in. We'll lose him in there.
I like this fal'Cie.
There's more of them.
Yeah, 70% of our viewers support further purges. It's just a hell of a line. I feel like that's doing a lot of heavy lifting. I gotta say that, like, I didn't like Fennell's voice actress until I found out that she's actually Australian, and now I'm just kind of confused. I feel like maybe I just don't understand what an accent even is. Like, I thought I did, but clearly I'm just a fool.
Hey, wake up! You gotta wake up! Look!
Hey, slow down! Gotta keep you kids safe, right?
Glad that's over.
Man, I'm beat. What? No break?
They're tracking us.
I know that. I know that, but we aren't soldiers. We don't have your kind of stamina.
You got enough to complain.
Oh, that's... You, forget it!
I think,
I'd stick with her if I were you.
later then.
get going to where, exactly? The whole of Cocoon's against us. No matter how far we run, there's no escape. That Seath clock, it's still a ticking.
There's still time. You give up too easy, old man.
I'm not giving up. There are some things that you just can't change. A kid like you would not understand.
Yeah, I'm a kid. I don't understand.
Well, I guess we can be fugitives together. Oh, you ready?
Ready!
Hey.
I do feel like there is a problem where it's splitting up the party for character reasons because it wants to put certain combinations of characters together just to show you what their dynamics are like, but there isn't actually like a strong narrative reason for it, like story-wise, so it feels slightly poorly justified, which is something that Final Fantasy often struggles with. 6 did a really good job at, when it splits up the party, it's more for plot-related reasons, and you don't get a lot out of it story-wise because it's just not capable of doing much there scripting-wise.
It's not the end of the line.
And yeah, like, mechanically, 2-person parties are still, it's not quite enough going on. Saboteur. I'll give that paradigm a shot. That does sound weird.
I think a big one's coming.
Whoa, we didn't disappoint this year.
You look dreamy, Farron. Wishing on fireworks, were you? And you call yourself a soldier? Ah.
Sorry, Lieutenant. But I really don't think guard duty is my calling, sir.
Well, lucky for you, your shift just ended. Pack it up and go home.
But, sir...
PSICOM found something in the vestige nearby. They don't want the Guardian Corps here stepping on their toes. Huh. I'm sure you heard about the accident at the Uriday Gorge energy plant, and how it has the PSICOM lads in a tizzy.
Yeah. More incident than accident. Something pulse-related.
You're taking tomorrow off?
Sir, for my birthday, sir.
I feel like it's worth pointing out that not only is Lightning's collar incredible, it's actually realistically asymmetrical. It's not like popped correctly on both sides.
Letter of recommendation for officer training.
Lieutenant.
You're past due for a promotion, Farron. Think of your sister and your future, and keep your nose out of trouble.
Out of PSICOM business, you mean?
Yeah. Nothing good'll come of it. Nothing but grief. Whoa, look at that one! Whoa, whoa, ho!
How right you were, Lieutenant. Just you?
For now, I guess. Should we wait?
They'll catch up, eventually.
Okay, finally, some more rolls. Yeah, I kind of love the Louis Vuitton Lightning collaboration. It's, like, deeply weird as a thing, and, like, the interview they did was... I feel like there are more fun things you could do with the writing there that, like, maybe didn't have to go through, you know, multiple levels of corporate approval, but also it's just wild that it's a thing that happened. Oh, not quite. Okay, more importantly, let's give Hope some... It'd be great if I could get the shell. I don't know if I can make it, but let's see. Yes. Okay. So there are no other abilities there. I've already got the one medic ability. Let's see. I'm just upgrading whatever.
All the junk around here came from Pulse, didn't it?
Stay sharp.
Yeah, Miguel points out that the Takashi Murakami Louis Vuitton collaboration is better. That one's worth looking up, actually. Okay, so what paradigms do I have right now? Slash and burn, that's good for doing damage, I guess. Super soldier. War and Peace is a really good paradigm name. Is there even anything else I can... No, that's every possible combination. No, that doesn't... Okay, so I could make some where Lightning is a Ravager and Hope is either Synergist or Medic, but that... I don't think that's actually useful, so let's not do that. Also, how am I doing item-wise? Do I want to go shopping? I've not bothered so far because I don't need to upgrade anything yet. It's a little too early for that. Yeah, I'm fine. I will eventually get into how deeply weird the upgrade system in this game is. And the way items work. That was one aspect which did not influence me in any way. Like, Get in the Car has an extremely item-based system. It's just very different from this. Honestly, it has the opposite goal. I'll get more into this one once you actually see it, but this game very strongly encourages you to hold on to one particular weapon and like just invest heavily in it, so you don't ever like, you try to change it up as little as possible because it's very expensive to do that. Whereas get in the car, I want you to be constantly changing items and like constantly trying out, because items are linked to builds. I want you to be changing up your builds all the time. So basically just a total opposite approach.
This stuff is what was left over from the scrap that fal'Cie took from Pulse to repair Cocoon.
Personally, I think Deceptisol is just the Decepticon son, right? Transistor was inspired by Devin. Like it's directly riffing off that, because I feel like Transistor. I really love Transistor. It's one of my favorite games for a lot of reasons, but the way it shit. Sorry, I should be paying more attention to this fight.
Stay sharp.
Okay, so let's get some buffs on Lightning. Now we'll change to...
Stay sharp. Just stay out of my way.
If you haven't played it, the way it works in Transistor is that instead of items, it's just you pick up characters that like give you their ability. Like after they die, they get assimilated into your sword. That's also an afterlife, like a post-human afterlife, and as a result, you get an ability that's linked to that character, and they get upgraded over time with use. So it's like really strong characterization, and you unlock story stuff for that character as you use them, which I really like. And yeah, it's a little similar to the to weapon stories that you find in the Drakengard and Nier games. Yeah, and as Davin says in chat, there's also some combinations of items and abilities that you can do. It's really neat. Like, it really just encourages you to play around with it, which I really like. Something that I'm really noticing on this playthrough is that this game really plays around with what levels are happening on the stagger meter. Like, it's really variable based on what enemies you're fighting. In a way that I don't think I caught the first time around. I'll show what I mean by that in a second.
Dead end. Guess we have to go back. I don't see any way over that. Can we get through this way, you think? You know where you're going, right?
I've been here on missions before.
Missions? Nothing to do with the Purge, though.
The Purge is SciComm's baby. Our military is split into two arms. The Public Security and Intelligence Command, known as SciComm, and the Guardian Corps. I was Guardian Corps, Bodum Security Regiment.
Wait, but I don't get it. If you're not SciComm, then why did you board the train?
For Sarah.
Look, it's simple. She's a cop. She's not a Fed.
Join the end of the line. Attention, Purge deportees. Follow instructions and stay in your lines. Personal belongings will be returned upon arrival. Do not leave your lines! This is for your own safety! Huh? What's the GC doing here? This op's under SciComm direction.
So direct me. Let me on. I want to be purged.
Only civs get purged. Sanctum staff and soldiers are exempt. Huh?
Then I quit.
Line up!
Excuse me. Hey, lady. What gives?
I volunteered.
Really? You don't look ready to go quiet into that good night.
You want quiet? You better take the next train.
Well, now I really want to see what you're up to.
I had to rescue Sarah before they transported the vestige to Pulse, and out of my reach. My only chance to save her was to join the Purge.
You're telling me you got on that train so you could save your sister? That's crazy. I could never do something like that.
It's not a question of can or can't. There are some things in life you just do.
Easy for someone like you to say. Lightning! She left me.
1, 2, 3. Ah! We go.
I do feel like the exposition in that scene is actually really good. It's like, it's explaining a lot, and it manages to convey it naturalistically with Lightning explaining the division of powers to a child, and, you know, the fascist stormtrooper wink there. Which is just, like, doing a lot in a very short scene. Ah, yes, the Doom mechanic. Okay, so finally Saz can actually do something because he gets a second roll. And I guess that's what I'm aiming for. No, Get in the Car doesn't have any sort of, like, pincer attacks, preemptive attacks, back attacks. Just in general, there's no way to modify what happens when you go into a fight. I feel like those mechanics generally make a lot of sense in games that are, like, you know, like, have, like, this active world map where, like, there's a skill component to entering a fight. Whereas Get in the Car is, like, very strictly turn-based in the, on the road view. So, like, there's no natural way to fit it in that way. And I'm not really sure how, I don't have any ideas for how, like, you'd get something interesting out of that, other than just, like, you start the battle with an advantage, which, like, I've never quite seen that, like, done the super interesting way that, like, really added a lot that, like, made you change the way you think strategically, or, like, really made things meaningfully harder. Yeah, sure. I'll upgrade this. Oh wait, shit, did I have another Ravager ability to get? I should have. Okay, next I should put it into here. Parallel parking? That's just too big a challenge for... Like, I think RPGs should be hard, but let's be reasonable here.
Watch and learn, kid.
Oh god, do I not have a... Ugh. Yeah, I don't have a paradigm here right now that I can, like, actually... that I can actually stagger this guy. Because his bar moves so quickly downwards. I feel like this is like a fight that's like trying to make you think about how these roles work a little more, like you're noticing what the effect of a fight is when you don't have a commando in your party. Yeah, I think what I actually wanted there was this. I think that would have been able to get their chain up. And let's start the fight with the Synergist and Saboteur.
Never seen a rig like this before. Here we go. Oh! Whoa, 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 whoa! I knew that would happen.
Yeah, as Random Chat points out, there are like a bunch of fights where you just don't necessarily even want to care about stagger. Like sometimes you have to think about like what is the best way to do damage, and sometimes it's just by not caring about it.
Watch and learn, kid.
Yeah, so you can see that now its stagger bar is going down a lot more slowly now that I have a Saboteur in the party. This is one of those mechanics where, like, I don't actually know exactly how it works even now, but you just sort of intuitively understand. You want either a Commando or a Saboteur to, like, make the stagger bar to adjust the stagger speed. Whereas having Ravagers in the party just makes it go up. But yeah, each class has a bunch of passive abilities that are not like super clearly explained. I think it might be in the tutorial section, like in the data banks. You don't really need to know the details of them. I think in general, like when you have like micro tunings like that, there's stuff that the player isn't supposed to necessarily like really understand perfectly. It's just stuff that's supposed to lead to an intuitive feeling.
We got this, Vanille.
Okay, let me... not approach this one correctly. I'm gonna retry this. There is another paradigm that I want. I want to get healed while also dropping buffs. Since I don't have a sentinel or anything.
Watch and learn, kid.
I will say the reason why I'm bringing up like the concept of like these very small micro tunings is that I don't use them in Get in the Car like basically at all. Everything is like really strong and like is very discreet. And I don't know if that's actually like better design wise. All I know is that like I was having trouble like balancing the numbers without making them even more complicated. So like if it's stuff that like the player can keep track of in their head, it's stuff that I can keep track of in my head, and they become a lot easier to adjust. Wow, that's just wrecking me. I really thought I was okay there.
Lux, finally run out.
And yeah, Get in the Car also does have the retry mechanic. I think that's just important in anything where... Yeah, it's true. Not having Commando makes this fight a lot harder than it otherwise would be.
Here. Follow the old man's lead.
Right now, I just want to stagger a bunch of these guys. Oh, whoops, that wasn't the one I wanted.
We got this, Vanille. Go, girl.
Yeah, I guess I want to avoid taking out the Clockwork Soldier because he's the... At that point, they'll start focusing on me. Okay, so focus on... Man, Medic is so powerful in this game. I really wonder how they balance that. Part of it is that, like, it's much easier to do because if they fill up the health bar, it's no big deal.
to it. Huh? Oh! Piece of cake. Guess running's out of the way.
Yeah, Royal Blue Wizard in chat is just explaining some of the secondary effects of how various classes affect the
Watch and learn, kid.
the various effects on the stagger meter.
Bullseye.
Hello. Okay, let's just...
Not bad.
I do feel like the big thing worth noting about the debuffs in this is that this is like a very rare example of a Final Fantasy game where debuffs actually like matter, are useful. A lot of others will, you know, they'll have them, but either they'll be too expensive to use because there's like either an MP or stock cost, or like somehow a cost to using them, or they just like won't be effective in like fights where you'd actually want to use them. So the fact that like you basically are constantly using buffs and debuffs in this all the time.
Vanille. Follow the old man's lead.
And I do think the game conveys like really well that like the debuffs are actually useful. Part of why is like you're not explicitly picking which ones to use. They're just things that your characters throw out. And
Where's Grumpy?
finally, a third character.
Got left behind, huh?
Leave me alone.
Hey.
This is pointless. Can't keep up. Can't get home. It's over for me.
It's not over. We'll get you home.
I don't have one. Now that Mom is.
What about your dad?
Not making a wish, Hope?
Mom, you still believe in that kind of stuff? Wishing on fireworks? Really? That's for little kids.
What are you calling kid?
You? What'd you wish for?
Oh, that next year, your father could come with us.
Why? It's better like this. We don't need him. That night, they found the fal'Cie in the Bodum vestige. The next day, soldiers sealed off the town, and we couldn't get back to Palom Polum. They forced us onto the train with everyone else. My mom, she was frantic. She wanted to get us home, so she tried to fight. She got tricked by Snow. He used her!
Let's get you home, okay? Your dad's gotta be worried.
Let him worry. Why should I care? He doesn't.
Any father cares.
Sass?
It's nothing. Forget it.
Come with me, okay?
This ought to do it. We've got time. Get you back home. Your dad'll be happy to see you.
The worst group therapy session ever really is just... I feel like that's the real premise of all Final Fantasy games. That's it. That's the whole thing. Okay, pardon me for 1 second. I'll be right back. Miguel, that is entirely too many friends. Too many friends.
All I hear is more friends.
The squid can hang. It is a very large squid. Okay, that's everything in that one. everything in that one. Yeah, I really do like the cast of this game. I feel like they're all very good. Like, everyone else is like good levels of broken. And obviously I love Snow, but I really love Snow. I like how fake cool Lightning is. Hope is doing his best. He's really trying. He's going through a lot. Okay, so Plant Shark, hear me out. I know you don't like Snow because he's too much of a wife guy, but consider, he's actually a pretty great wife guy. God, what even is this? Also, yeah, when they get to be together, it's really cute. Okay, what fucking paradigms do I even have right now? These are all terrible. I really need a commando. I guess that's how I want to start a fight. Ravager just to do something, and I guess superiority is a stronger start. Okay, wait. Ren was saying multiple synergists, or multiple saboteurs. So let's try that. Oh wait, no, I only have one saboteur. I see, I have multiple synergists, but I only have one saboteur, so I can't do that yet. Rav, Sab, Rav, yeah, I guess. It's definitely interesting that it's encouraging you to play around with these in a part where, like, you have just baffling rules available. These are not normal loadouts for this game. Like, it really is just encouraging you to... yeah, the one that was marked was I'd set it to the default, so that's what I'll start each battle with. You can pick which of the ones you want to start with.
I appreciate it.
think probably the intent is that what they're doing right now is they're giving you ones that like really heavily modify, that have like a lot of buffs and debuffs, and I think they're encouraging you to...
I owe ya.
They're encouraging you to use, the buffs and debuffs. Like, there's no way to not use a lot of them in this section because there's just so much of it. And I think that way, you know, you learn that those are actually just as important as having commandos. God, I just cannot. Yeah, they will just not be staggered.
Follow the old guy's lead.
And yeah, just note how slowly that, how different the stagger bar drop speed is based on what you have in your party. It was going down incredibly slowly before I added the saboteur back.
Time to pull the old switcheroo.
I do keep forgetting that all forms of damage are multiplied by the stagger meter in this. It's not just commandos. That was something that I changed for Get in the Car, where only my equivalent of the commando abilities, which are called exploit, but it's basically the same. Only those do multiplied damage. But
come to pop.
Yeah, and this is everything.
Change in the play.
It is true that Try Disaster is a pretty good polykill name. Something something Try Disaster, something something full of buy disasters, I don't know. I'll workshop it. Wait, that wasn't the one I wanted. Yeah, that one. Yeah, the maximum stagger is hidden at first, and I don't really understand why that's the case. Like, I'm not sure what it gains from it being a mystery the first time you push them over stagger. Oh, yeah, right. I should be hitting Libra at every fight. Fuck. I forgot about that.
Isn't that
a warship from Pulse?
You mean they made it this far?
Of course not. Not during the war, not since. They might have tried, but none of their forces made it into Cocoon. They only damaged the outer rim. Then the Sanctum's fal'Cie pushed them back. What'd you, sleep through history?
More or less. So, what's a ship from Pulse doing here?
Once the war was over, people couldn't live near the rim anymore, in places like the Hanging Edge. So the fal'Cie, they gathered up scrap from Pulse and used it for rebuilding here. This is what was left. A bunch of garbage.
Who'd have thunk? A Post fal'Cie and who knows what mixed in with all the trash.
Who'da thunk? I'm gonna go peek ahead.
Yeah, Octopath Traveler is actually another game that
Wandering off and stay where I can
gives me really similar battle system vibes as this. Like, not in terms of the, okay, I'm gonna remember to use Libra this time. Great, cool.
I owe ya.
I mean, I don't think it's weird that fal'Cie doesn't have a pluralization. Like, it's a Japanese game, and Japanese doesn't have plurals, so, like...
Can't we just talk this over? I owe ya.
Right, Libra. Okay, so the thing that we were pointing out earlier is that the stagger point is how much you have to build up the meter until they enter stagger state, and they are different for different enemies, which is again kind of perhaps too much granularity. I think, like, I don't know, what's the difference between 150 and 130? Or, sorry, 150, but the chain resistance is only 70 versus a slightly higher chain resistance but a lower stagger point, which is a sort of difference that, like, doesn't really cause your strategies to change at all.
Follow the old guy's lead.
The thing is that there's just not that big a difference between 130% stagger and 150. Because, like, you add a lot per series of attacks. And also, like, it's modified by something that's maybe not entirely obvious is that there's the chain resistance stat. And the way that chain resistance works is that there's a... I don't know the exact equation, but there's a multiplier that uses that to determine how much your attacks build the chain stagger meter. So if something has a lower stagger point but a higher chain resistance, it's similar to something that has a low chain resistance but a higher stagger point, which is, like, just deliberately confusing.
Check things out.
Hey! Hold it together.
And yes, higher stagger point will does lead to higher damage modifiers. You can potentially get that bar pretty high. Right now we're going very low, but like the maximum is 3 9s and you can hit it. And often will.
Hold it together.
And I don't think it's necessarily a problem that you're fighting, like, the same enemies several times in a row, because part of it is that, like, I think it wants you to be adjusting. Like, it wants you to have a comparison point of multiple fights, but you're trying different things every time, so eventually you figure out what works. Like, I think this could be mixed up a little more, but I also don't think it's I don't think it's necessary to. Although part of that, again, is that this is just, like, a very slow-paced game. Better off starting with Synergist and Ravager. Yeah, I think you're right, actually. That is a good call. Where was the... yeah, Gorilla. Here's what's unfortunate. Equipment is so de-emphasized in this game that I keep forgetting that, like, I'm getting stuff that I should probably be equipping. Sure. The thing about the upgrade system is that it's very much designed to just look at a guide, There's a calculator you need to use, like, just in order to optimize your experience for leveling up weapons, and it really does matter. And I think it's, like, the least thought. It's the part of the game that doesn't work, and there's a reason why they didn't revisit it in any others. And honestly, like, you don't even really need to bother upgrading until you hit a certain point in the game. It's just not worth it. Yeah, Ren, just look up, like, Final Fantasy XIII weapon experience calculator. There's, like, a set of one item that you should buy in order to optimize the multiplier for adding experience. I don't like it. I feel frustrated just saying that. There are a lot of underappreciated systems that I really like in this game, and there's a lot that even if I don't necessarily think they're good ideas, I respect what they were going for, and the weapon system is not either of those. I think it's just bad. Oh yeah, right. New enemy. Let's scan the succubus. Just normal phrases to say.
Changing gears. Thanks.
Ladies, you know how it is. You just sometimes have to scan the succubus.
Change in the play. Hold it together. Thanks.
Okay, so the succubus is a support type. I guess I should probably be gunning for her first. This guy, whatever. Yeah, there we go.
Changing gears.
Yeah, I really love the monster designs in this. Even though right now we haven't gotten any... I think the encounters are getting better, and like they get better as you go along. They start busting out the more interesting stuff. But, like, the weird monsters are just consistently good throughout the whole series. Which is good, because they use them for 3 different games.
Hope snow's all right.
Personally, my favorite is, I don't remember if they're only in Lightning Returns, but they're definitely the most obnoxious in Lightning Returns, which is the Flambulance.
Time to pull the old switcheroo. I owe ya. Follow the old guy's lead.
Okay, the Flambulance is also in 13 too.
Time to pull the old switcheroo. To the victor go the spoils.
Yeah, 4 stars. See, I'm improving. Incremental improvement. Incremental improvement. The stars are time-based, that's it. It's just the longer you take in the fight, the worse you're doing, which honestly is, I think, pretty good.
Would it kill her to smile?
It's a good metric. You can definitely optimize for it, which, like, it's a metric you understand.
Time to move.
Okay.
Did Hope just pout so hard he left the party? Wow. You know what's exciting, though? Commando. Also, some of the ability names in this are wild. fal'Cie. It's a good thing you don't have to, like, keep track of, like, your abilities, because they get, you know, you're just auto-generating what abilities you use, because that is wildly granular. Spark Strike. Sorry about robot voice. I don't know what's causing that. Please let me know if it happens a lot more. Hey, kid, I'm a computer. Stop all the downloading. Occasionally they're just getting a bitrate drop on my microphone. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's just only happening in like, I think it's happening pretty infrequently. Chat, please let me know if it's not just really infrequent. Thanks for joining us, Royal Blue Wizard. I think the thing about the Crystarium is that like it's not a bad way of upgrading. It's just really unnecessarily, it's not even complex, it's just like over-rendered. Okay. What paradigms do I have now? Bully is a good name, but I don't think that's a good description of it. Relentless Assault is good. What do I want to start with? I guess... Yeah, I guess start with Bully. Do I need... I guess a good one to have would be Synergist, Commando, and Medic. That's like the closest thing to a tank that I can get. Hero's Charge, that's a good way of putting it. I really like the names. Thanks for joining, Devin.
Let's get this over with.
It's Bully because she has two friends egging her on as she beats someone up. Yeah, okay, that's good. Overdoing it.
Thanks. No.
Innocent Butt Wiggle, also good turn of phrase. It's fine, it's normal. See, having lightning makes that 5 stars. That's just, you need a commando. And I do kind of wonder if that's like a deliberate decision, just,
I'll do what I can.
drop in a fight that you've done a bunch of times before, but now you have a commando just to show how good they really are.
Just as I was getting used to things. No.
Take that!
Yeah, see? Look how much quicker that was. You know why? That's because lightning's that cool. one unfortunate thing that... This one I still don't understand. All your party members also have a chain gauge, but it's not for taking damage, it's for healing. So healing is more effective in a chain, so that's why right now the chain meter is always either Fennel or Lightning, or like it's a party member. So you can't actually see the chain gauge on because Saz is the synergist, so he's always targeting party members. And I think the party chain gauge is there to like make that party healing just like really powerful, but it might also be an overly complicated way of doing it.
Cool. Nothing to it.
There's actually an idea that I just started flirting with for getting the car. I'll show you the design problem that it solves when we get to it, but which is making enemy healers multiply their healing against the enemy stagger bar. So you're doing more damage to them, but they're also healing more damage. And yeah, I'll show you what it is that's trying to solve once we get to there, but it definitely is the sort of dramatic swing that this game likes.
Changing gears.
Oh, it's not a global stagger modifier, it's still like based on like per enemy. Although that is an interesting idea, and we have something sort of like it in the end game. It's an enemy that really sucks, actually. In the end game of getting the car. But I was actually just thinking, like, the more that a single enemy is taking damage, the more they heal. God, what if I just start with Ruthless? Like, do I even need to get those buffs? Yeah, look how slowly the stagger meter was going there. Commandos really make it slow down, and I think probably having a Saboteur in there also helps. I'm not entirely sure how that stacking works.
Guess running's out of the question.
Ah, shit. Pushed that one too hard.
Damn it.
Indeed, Distract, I think you're correct. I think the attack boost is definitely doing the heavy lifting there. So, I guess drop that and then focus on damage, but not to the detriment of my healing. Yeah, wow, that's a really slow stagger meter.
night. Thanks.
Healing an enemy to build stagger is definitely a funny... Wait. Okay, so the problem with that is that I think puzzles where, like, you use a healing ability on an enemy are... that's a gimmick that shows up a lot in Final Fantasy, and it's like... The puzzle revolves around, did you think that you could press left while using a healing item, and actually, you can heal an enemy. It's, like, just a little too esoteric, like a interaction puzzle. Okay, so doing worse. Like, it's funny using Phoenix down to kill as like an undead enemy, but I think it's like a joke that only works once, and it's a joke that works because probably someone told you about it. But something that I actually could do is that we have enemies that are
Hurry up.
that take elemental damage and are healed by taking elemental damage. But that still could be a good way to like build up their stagger meter. So I kind of like that. I wonder how you would...
What do you suppose that is?
Yeah, I'd have to think through the whole thing, but yeah, I like that.
What is that?
Pulse armament.
And that's bad for us, isn't it?
You have eyes, don't you?
Yeah, suplexing the train in Final Fantasy VI is a good joke because, like, you'll just do it inevitably. It's not like... It's not something that you have to do something weird and esoteric, it's just... You will get that joke on your own. You'll feel very smug about getting that joke, but also, like, it's... You're obviously going to use suplex because it's powerful. And you'll immediately be thinking, shit, maybe. Steam Clean is a really good Steam Engine ability name. Oh yeah, I should use Libra. Yeah, so... Okay, I really like the mechanical design here. You'll note that the key point here is that it takes half damage against, like, just commando ability, period. So, it really wants you to build up the, it really wants you to stagger it. Which is... Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't have the ability to do, like, that sort of complex resistance. But, like, it leads to interesting stuff like this. Okay, so now let's just fuck them up. Yeah, look at those big numbers.
Thought we were goners. You all right?
I think so.
Incoming.
Oh, Zero-Sen, that's really interesting, the zombie doctor thing. Okay, so are you the same? You're the same. You're just... I guess this is the one instance where I'd probably want a Synergist, Ravager, and Saboteur as the party, which I don't think I have in my deck. Yeah, totally don't have that. Okay, that would be useful in this one case.
Follow the old guy's lead.
Yeah, something that I'm noticing here is that the stagger bar increases by smaller increments than I do, but it's like smaller increments in rapid succession. So like we landed on pretty similar numbers, just minor and big discrete chunks, and theirs are like 3 at a time, which is interesting.
I owe ya.
Whoops.
Time to pull the old switcheroo.
Oh no. Let's get a medic in there.
I appreciate it.
I feel like this boss fight is like the first time you really see like what's good about the dramatic shifts that the stagger
Bobbing and weaving.
gives you. No, that wasn't the paradigm I wanted at all. Which is that like you don't do much damage to it normally, and so then you build up a 1 meter in order to just do a lot of normal damage. And it makes it feel really satisfying when you like do those really big damage numbers, even though actually probably balance-wise it's not that different from like a traditional Final Fantasy style attack, attack, attack. Finally, 2 commandos!
Pulse is crawling with things like that, isn't it?
Yeah, Pulsework soldiers are like showing the concept, and then that boss is like really like showing how big it can be.
Yeah, I noticed that. But don't you need to know exactly what you're up against?
Target's a target.
You like to keep it simple, don't you?
I stick to my goal.
As long as you have a goal, you can fight?
You can stay alive.
Yeah. I'll show this eventually. It's more... There's no way you can internalize all this by reading the tutorial. This is an extremely go to GameFAQs and learn what the optimal thing to do is, and then try not to think about it later on. Don't worry about it. I'll explain once I actually do an upgrade, which isn't going to be for a bit.
I'm gonna scout ahead.
But yeah, there's a reason why they never revisited this system. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to be switching over to get in the car. This is a good place to stop off. Let me just switch over. Just pardon me for a second while I go over here and switch everything. I think I should be okay. And I'm just going to send a tweet to let everyone know that I'm starting it. Please bear with me for another second. Actually, Miguel, could you come here and like make sure the levels are okay? Because I think getting the car is louder than Final Fantasy.
Make noise.
Yep. I'm just gonna jump into a battle really quickly because that'll give us some music. We're just doing an audio test. Yeah, see, that's pretty loud. Okay, sure. I'm just going to say a few words just so that Miguel can test the levels and make sure that I'm coming through okay over the game's audio. So let me know if that sounds good. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was playing Final Fantasy XIII on PC. The thing is, it doesn't actually really matter what platform you play them on because it's not like there's save file carryover, so like you might as well just play it on whatever works. Okay, so I am going to be showing, I'm going to show a few things. Oh shit. First I'm going to break debug mode for me, so give me a second. I thought it was okay. Huh. Okay, I'm going to restart, sorry. Some of the debug commands are a little bit twitchy due to, you know, being debug commands. So what I want to show is just some of the encounter design that we start off with, and I'll sort of compare some of the stagger system stuff that we were looking at in 13. What was I doing? First, I'm going to add Angela to the party so you can see what she looks like. Because it's important to have the whole party together. she's not in the game from the start. She comes in a little bit later. This isn't like giving anything away. It's pretty early on. Next, I'm going to just give myself a bunch of equipment to fuck around with. And then I'm going to set up a test condition I made right before just a couple hours ago. So let's get to it. Something I want to show is that instead of having like paradigms, we have something similar, which is that there are these boards that you get in order in battle that you add your abilities to. I'm just going to throw some stuff on here to start. Not going to think about it too hard, and I'll adjust them as we go along. And these are all things that have been upgraded. Okay, yeah, everyone's at level 2 now. So, let's, So this is the most basic type of encounter. It's just 2 normal enemies. They don't have any particular properties. They just hit you in the face. So yeah, note that the stagger bar increases by like bigger chunks. Right now it's 15% because these enemies are a slightly higher level than me. Yeah, because I used a debug command to put Angela in the party, she doesn't actually show up in the car in this particular part of the story. That's just... And you'll notice that these boards correspond to the order that they were on in that menu. So you press right bumper to switch what board you're on, and when you do that, it changes all the time, all the cooldowns to 0. So you start off with board number 1, the one at the top. You press bumper for the first time. It then switches you to board number 2. You press it for a second time, it switches to the third one. Then you press it again, it uses the Sword of Fate special attack, and then loops you back to the first. So you always start a fight with this one, with the top one, and you can't, and there's a very long cooldown between you going from the third one to the first one because you have to do that big special attack in between. So it's kind of like the third one's kind of sticky as a result due to that big cooldown. But there is one other trick, which is that when you go into a fight, your first board is all on cooldown, or you can jump immediately to the second, and you can immediately go, but at the expense of you just lost all those initial abilities, because you just blew past them. So you'll see if I want to switch to the first board, if we have to watch this whole animation. But now it's available instantly. So I'm going to talk a bit about some of the strategies that, like, I've found. These aren't necessarily, I don't know, like, what's ideal yet. I know, like, some tactics that work pretty well. I'm also going to go and I'm going to slow down the battles because right now they're moving pretty fast. And I think it might be a little easier to follow if they're in slow mode. So I'm going to do that. So you can't reorder the boards, but what you can do is that you can just like move stuff to a different board. So, for example, it's often good to have a lot of attacks on... Actually, hang on. Let me just throw some more items into my inventory. Shit. Wrong thing. Okay. I discovered a bug in my debug command, so never mind that. But something that's really good is it's good to have, like, all your damaging stuff be on this top board, because it's available immediately after using the Sword of Fate, so hopefully the Sword of Fate will push them over into stagger, then you can just drop a ton of damage. Similarly, I find that it's kind of good to have, like, your, like, last-ditch abilities on the last one. So, like, Taunt and Heal are really good to have there because no matter what, they're always available. If you, like, start taking a lot of damage, you can switch to that final board. And it's the same as switching to a Paradigm in Final Fantasy XIII that's, like, Sentinel and Medic. It can only be so dramatic because, like, for example, Grace... There's no real difference between Destruction and Exploit. It's just you can see what the paradigms do here, or what the rolls do here. But it's just Exploit is big damage multiplied by the meter. Destruction is bigger damage also multiplied by the meter. No matter what, Grace is always doing damage. She can't do any kind of support. And you can only have 2 party members that have Ravage at a time. So, yeah, this is actually a pretty good layout. Let's stick with this one. Yeah, let me just reset the road, show you... Yeah. So, like, switching between boards is... It's a decision you have to commit to. It's similar to the thing in 13 where, like... Oh, okay. Let's heal Sam using the Sword of Fate. The Sword of Fate deals a bunch of stagger to the meter, but doesn't do any damage. And it has a healing effect, but unfortunately Sam just ate dirt immediately after. And yeah, it's slightly more optimal to give Grace destruction abilities, since they do a lot more damage in her hands. Okay, we now have 2 characters down. This, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna win this one. But you'll notice you can just blast through the menus to use a bunch of abilities in a row. Let's try again. I think I could do it. I'm doing pretty bad on healing there, but let's throw out some abilities, immediately taunt, immediately heal Valentin, and I think they'll be in a little better shape. So this is the power of putting Taunt and Heal on the same board. is that right now everyone's focusing on Val. I can just have Sam keep healing them. It does mean that, like, using taunt a lot when you don't have a healer is a really risky proposition. Andy asks, yes, it just it skips the Sword of Fate if Grace is knocked out. It'll still like do all the timer reset, so like you have to wait for your timers to come back. Like it still like does like the length of the animation, but you don't get the effects of it. So if Grace is down, it's really important that Sam brings her back, because Sword of Fate healing is really important. Huh, okay, that's interesting. Not sure what just happened there. No, Miguel, it's not a problem with the stream, it's just a problem with my game. I am going to, yeah, no idea what happened there. I'm gonna restart the, just gonna restart the game. I'll look into that later. That's... the perils of showing a game in development. Okay, so debug menu. Put Angela back in. That's... man, that's a real weird one. I think it's something about the rollback system. Have I changed that recently? I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what caused that. I'll figure it out. And in the meantime, I will avoid doing that. Okay, so how are we kitted out? I think heal and taunt on this board. Let's try something like a little more evenly balanced. So you can still do Ravage on that final board. Yeah, Isaac in chat is pointing out that everyone in the party is kind of tall. There's a very goofy escalation where Grace is the short one. Sam's obviously a tall girl, even without her heals, and you know, Valentin's supposed to be big, and Angela's just obviously she has to be even bigger. So I don't know, just escalation kind of got out of control. Possibly you're learning something about the page that Isaac and I are on. Yes, the little icon next to the attack name means that it does elemental damage. At the start, only Ravage abilities do elemental damage, and also, like, none of these enemies actually... Currently, none of the enemies in the first act, like, actually take elemental damage. Elemental damage gets introduced in the second act, which is because it's kind of a complication. So, right now, it's not something to worry about. But I will show that off later, because... in another stream, because the elemental enemies are kind of weird. And yeah, it's fire, grass, water. So you know, that traditional Pokemon starter triangle. So yeah, you'll note that I didn't skip the initial board in this fight, and as a result, it's like a very long wait. So let's just jump immediately to that, and let Angela do multiple attacks in a row. Yeah, all the party members, have unique roles. I'll show you in a second. So you'll note I didn't use that first board there because I didn't quite finish the stagger and I really just wanted to stagger that enemy. Despite everything that I said about it being good. So, you can see on the status screen what the party roles are. Basically, if you give someone an item, it'll always turn into one of the two abilities that they have access to. For example, there are items that can give you, for example, the lost key is an item that has, I don't know why I'm pointing, you can't see that, but it has an exploit ability and a heal and a support ability attached. So if you give it to anyone who is capable of using exploit, it turns into an exploit ability. If you give it to Sam, she gets healing from it. So, see, this is what a lost key looks like in Grace's hands. This is what a lost key looks like in Sam's hands. So Sam has support abilities and she can build a stagger meter. Angela's the only one who can also build a stagger meter, but she can also do damage. So she's like lightning. She has basically our version of the commando ability and also Ravage right from the start. Valentin has a unique set of abilities called Tank, which are all like things that draw enemy attacks. There will be different versions of them as you go through the game that have like bigger payoffs but also bigger risks associated with them. Same with Sam's support abilities. It's not just healing, it's also, we have a couple others as well. And Grace is always damage. All damage all the time. So I'm gonna use some healing because the party's hurt. You're gonna see a weird bug in the menu, don't worry. Okay, I thought you were gonna see a weird bug in the menu, but maybe not. I really didn't think I fixed that bug. Huh. Okay. Yeah, Angela's an angel. I feel like it's a pretty reasonable name. So yeah, just gonna skip the first board, jump straight to the second. I could try attacking this dolphin, but it's not gonna work very well due to his asshole friend with the healing. Like, it will eventually kill him this way, but you'll take a lot of damage in the process. So what's better is to focus on this fucking guy and take out the healer. Then I'll just stagger him. They'll both be staggered. You'll note that my stagger meter drops a lot quicker than, even at half speed it drops a lot quicker than the Final Fantasy XIII one. That's just an effect of my battles are a little bit punchier. Part of the punchiness just comes from, again, like that sort of mushy balance in 13. And I say mushy, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think that's like, it's a design school that honestly, like, I like a lot in games. It often feels really good, but when you have big discrete chunks, I find it easier for the player to keep track of in their head, and that was what I want to design this around. And yeah, so we don't have any of those weird micro-tuning. It's just the stagger meter moves at basically the same rate for nearly every enemy. There are some enemies that are like weird exceptions, but those are like going to be really obvious, like you'll really be able to tell. Yeah, here's a real obnoxious encounter. Just too many healers. Let's take one out. Drakey is asking, when a taunt is up, when you're taunting, everyone's locked into attacking. So it's a good way to disrupt healers, but it also does mean you'll take more damage than you normally would. Also, something to point out is that this is I'm playing some fairly difficult encounters right now. These dolphins are they're fighting at level 3, which I'll show you in a second when we can look at their health bar. Yeah, see, at level 3, so the damage is scaled against them. And the reason why I'm doing that is just because when I'm not distracted, I'm pretty good at this. I'm a little worried about the balance being like a little bit too difficult. So I'm doing a tough fight just to show. Yeah, taunt always hits everything. So it's a dicey proposition in like in a fight with a lot of enemies. Also, I do want to point out, I'm playing terribly right now. The entire party should not have taken this much damage from a single fight. Aw, Sam. Okay. And I can't bring her back yet because the Sword of Fate's on a timer just to not mash. Okay. Now the Sword of Fate's timer's up. I can bring her back now. Oh yeah, Mizandari in chat asks, who's the cool old guy with the statue? That's Agi of Roses, who is the previous legendary hero. You can read more about him in... you'll find out much more about him over the course of the game. Yeah, having a dead character has no influence on progression at all because progression is only measured in terms of what items you have. So, no matter what, at the end of combat, you always get, like, depending on how tough the fight was, you get a bunch of money. Like, it's just, you know, there's just set drop rates. And, aw, man, really? Sorry, please bear with me. Don't know what happened there. I guess I'll just have to play smarter.
Slow to the hit the desk as I'm animating in the other room.
Miguel is in control of the hit the desk icon. I don't think it's within the spirit of things, honestly. I was just using that for Unity crashing, whereas this is like, that was my own fault. Just entirely on me. Okay, so let's do that same loadout. That seemed to be working out pretty well. Actually, let's give Angela a lot of Ravage. Why not? Just a ton of Ravage. That was just I fucked up. The thing about Unity crashes that I was having with earlier in the past year was there was something wrong with the Unity editor in the version I was using. They eventually solved the bug. It just crashed a lot. Whereas this was just my code crashed, which is, that one's on me. Okay, let's try this again. But play better and play smarter. And just like, I pointed this out before, but really, one of the best things you can do is to just be using attacks. This game really rewards commitment. Like, it's just better to be doing something than to be sitting around waiting. See, just lots of Ravage. Also, I'm really happy with the way Angela's animation works when you do 3 attacks in a row. I was really nervous about that because she like has Okay, yeah. So you see on this on this end of fight screen, receives 34 gas points, which is the currency. So basically, it doesn't matter if a party member's dead because you're getting that reward no matter what. There's no incentive to like bring someone back to life at the last minute because there's no experience points. It's just what items you buy. The way you select an enemy is just the left joystick. Taunt doesn't have a target, but you just press up, down to pick a party member, and same, it just corresponds on enemies to which one you want to select. So, I'm gonna use a Ravage, then I'm gonna use a Sword of Fate, and I think that... Is that enough to push it over? I'm not sure. Let's find out. No, not quite. And yeah, you'll notice that unlike Final Fantasy XIII, Ravage damage does not get multiplied by the stagger meter. It's only those exploit attacks or destruction attacks. Yeah, hopefully the stick selection will be nice and snappy. Right now, I had a problem with it earlier. My solution to it was just like create a radial map for like every possible layout of enemies, and just like a manual mapping for it, and that seemed to solve the problem. Yeah, so you see, having Valentin taunt there, that's really dangerous, because they're doing a lot of damage right now. The enemies are, rather. And taking 3 attacks in the face is not... is really not great. Oh, Val. I'm sorry. Oof. Okay, let's bring back Val so they can taunt. Use the Sword of Fate so everyone else comes back up. And one of the things that I've been constantly balancing back and forth is how much the Sword of Fate heals. Because I don't want it to be too good. Like, I don't want there to be only one mechanism of healing, but also, like, it's overpowered if you could just, like, keep using the sword. So yeah, note that Angela is not doing multiplied damage, just Grace. Nora had asked if it's worth it to only use the actions of some characters and switch to another board for the rest, or is the cooldown small enough that you lose actions doing that? There is a thing where, like, at that point, it's not the cooldown, it's actually the animation length. So, it's always good to be doing something. But also, you can potentially be in trouble if you're using a bunch of weak attacks and then get killed while doing them. So, like, for example, if you're... A lot of the time you have the choice between, do you want Grace to do an attack and then use the Sword of Fate, or do you just want a Sword of Fate instantly? And the answer is usually how much health do you have, because you can get killed during that attack before you fire off the Sword of Fate. Which is... feels bad. Just really does not feel great when that happens. So here's everyone's favorite encounter, the Jerk Patrol. They suck. That's why they suck. They have friends. Their friends also suck. We've spent a lot of time balancing these guys. I think they're okay now. And yeah, one good tactic is using taunt, but then Valentin takes a lot of damage. Also, once they're staggered, it's actually probably better to just focus on another. Because, while they're in that stagger state, they can't call a friend. You can definitely just stagger them in turn. The one catch is that stagger moves. It's quickly enough that, like, that's a better strategy against smaller numbers of them. But yeah, this was like... I want to do a lot of tuning on this fight to make sure that it wasn't... that it was the right level of frustrating. Another good thing to do is just spread out damage. If it seems like this is hard, again, I am using, this is a high-level encounter for what point I am in the game. If I was, say, at the same level as these guys, it would be easier. The Jerk Patrol can only call in jerks as friends, which is why it's that really funny spiral. But also, there's one other thing. You do get rewarded for every friend that the Jerk Patrol brings, so if you have a real tough time with them, you get a lot of money from that. And one of the things I was thinking about balance-wise is, you know, is that a good idea? Is it, like, exploitable that the player could create a situation where they just wait for more jerks to come in forever? But, they generally chip away at your health enough that, like, I'm not really worried about that. And also, they do spawn less over time, so no matter what, the longer you spend in this fight, the more likely it is that they're not going to bring around a friend. So hopefully that balances it out. Oh, that's a good point. I should have a tally of how many jerks you kill during the fight. I am going to... yeah, I'll put that in. That's funny. Gonna heal some more. I'm doing really bad, by the way. You should not be using healing items quite this much. If I was playing normally, I'd probably be thinking about upgrading my items some more, sticking with easier fights, grinding a little on easier guys, or like upgrading my stuff. I'm not going to do that right now. So here's my big guy enemy. I guess I do sort of have something similar to the Final Fantasy XIII thing of, like, they don't take much damage normally until you stagger them, because that guy has a resistance to normal attacks when he's not staggered. And yeah, the gimmick around him is basically the same as that, like, that Clockwork Soldier. You'll want to stagger him. And basically at this point, a lot of the time with, like, easier enemies, the moment you've staggered them and there's only one of them left, you've kind of won. But with this, if you're not doing a lot of damage, he'll actually just get unstaggered, like, and survive, because his health bar is very big. So this is a case where I'm actually not going to be swapping boards. I'm just going to stick with this one because it's got a lot of Ravage. I really want to build that Ravage meter up as much as possible. Right now he's taking 450% from these attacks, and that's still not enough. I don't think I'm going to kill him before... Yep, see, he got unstaggered, so I'm going to have to go through all this again. And he does a lot of damage. Are there enemies that have unstagger actions that punish you when you let it run out? Norad asks. Yes. There are, I've got, there's exactly one enemy that does it, but it's a real good gimmick. It's called the, actually, I'll just explain it because, there's some good gimmicks that revolve around it. There's the bomb enemy, which the moment it leaves stagger, it explodes, dealing massive damage to the party. So if you stagger him, you better finish him off. And we have some interesting combinations of enemy configurations that we put him in. So there are some abilities that he interacts with in just deeply obnoxious ways. He'll probably be very mad at me. Sorry. Here's just a normal level 2 fight. This is at the same level as me, so I'm gonna eat shit, apparently. But you'll note this is what it looks like when you're not fighting something quite so hard. The Sword of Fate, because it's at the same level, this is going to instantly stagger him. Yeah, stagger time can't be kept up indefinitely. We do have some support abilities that modify the stagger meters in different ways. There's like stop, which does what it sounds like, but this isn't like the thing in Final Fantasy XIII where if you have like a commando and a saboteur in the party, stagger will just last forever. I do want stagger to be like constantly like something ticking down and like you feeling like, oh, the pressure's on, I really gotta kill this guy. How many enemy types are there? There are, let me think, 4... 11. There are 11 normal enemy types. That's not counting like bosses or anything. And much more so than like really any Final Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy. It's the big inspiration, but we're definitely like a lot more gimmick driven in the enemies. So like every enemy will have some sort of weird complication. There aren't like the dolphins are the only enemies in the game that don't like have some sort of special ability that really changes the way you approach them. Other than that, everyone has something that makes them special, and hopefully that'll, you know, like keep things interesting. It might also be completely unnecessary. I don't know. We'll find out together, honestly. But I'm hoping that if nothing else, like every encounter in the game like turns into some kind of like having different combinations of enemies should like turn into a fun puzzle that you have to figure out like how do I approach this. The elementals are, the elements are completely symmetric normally. We do have an element, we have a secret 4th element called nuclear, which deals double damage against every element, but also takes double damage from every element. So it's sort of your way of saying, fuck this, I don't care about your element, but also you will take extra damage from enemies because of it. So that's the trade-off. I don't think I can throw one into the party this exact moment. I don't have access to that. But yeah, I want nuclear is as an option. Hopefully you'll be like very careful with it because it means you know, maybe it's fine if you're just doing like a lot of healing. We also have a thing where you might want to like change your board to remove an elemental weakness because elemental weaknesses are based on what board you're on. So it's like whatever ability you have up. For example, if you're on the first board, Sam is going to take double damage against grass because she has a water ability equipped. But if you switch to the third board, she'd lose that weakness. Similarly, Angela's going to take fire damage. She'll take double fire damage on the first board. She'll take double water damage on the second board, and also double water damage on the third board. We do also have some passives that like will always give you an elemental ability, or that give elements to characters that don't have Ravage. So like, say you're fighting a water enemy, you might want to give Grace a grass attack, because that'll mean her damage is doubled, then multiplied by the stagger meter, which is potentially pretty big. Sort of the thing that I was inspired by there was I wanted to go for like the persona thing of switching personas to avoid a weakness. And that just corresponds to the boards. There are some things that like, I actually don't know how this is going to work out. Like, would you want to have all your elements on one board? Like, would you want like all your fire ones to be on board 2? All your grass ones on board 1 and like all your water on board 3 or something? I don't know if that would be good tactically or not. It might be. Only that's something for the player to figure out. What else? We don't have any equivalent to the all-out attack. It would be fun to do, but one of the reasons why we're like really into this elemental system, this trinket-based system where like everyone's doing like a special like attack with their item, is that it's easier to animate. Especially in 2D, animation budget can really build up very fast. So we want it to be very economical there. So, you know, we got like that big attack with Grace, but other than that, we don't like have too many things that have like edge cases on them. And okay, now it's just throwing me into the story. I think that's about it for what I wanted to show off this week. I think I'm not sure what I'm going to show next time. I might show some other enemies, or I might even show off the hard mode that I'm putting in. Depends, really. I think it just depends on what I'm going to be working on next week. I have been slow getting started after the New Year, so I'll figure something out. But thank you so much for joining me this week. Please come in next week. We'll be continuing Final Fantasy XIII. I'll be showing more of the development of getting the car. And also on Sunday night, me, Miguel, and Andy will be doing our usual stream of, I think this week we're going to be playing Prince of Persia 2008. So, yeah, join us Sunday night. I'll tweet about it. And next Thursday, more Final Fantasy XIII and Get in the Car Loser fal'Cie road trip. Thank you so much for joining me.